Assalamu alaikum, dear brothers and sisters. We welcome you to a new episode of Treasure Hunt. In this episode, as we will continue with the same topic, the topic of the da'wah, and specifically the traits of the da'iyah, or the da'i Allah, the one who invites mankind to Allah. In order for his da'wah to be successful, he should attain certain tools. He should really have these tools for every profession. In order for you to execute your job successfully, you got to have certain tools. So this is the same thing for da'wah. The best tools, are of course from the Quran and the Sunnah, as we learned together. Patience, sincerity, knowledge, wisdom, all of these beautiful traits that will help you in general as a Muslim, and specifically when you give da'wah. Last time we concluded with kindness, and we mentioned that kindness is really considered to be a very important factor, because no matter how knowledgeable you are, no matter how compassionate, or no matter how passionate you are about your message, if you do not deliver it in a good way, it may not reach the hearts as you intended. Again, subhanAllah, being part of this movement for so many years, the movement of da'wah in the West, I can tell you that I find the majority of the da'is, the ones who actually are in this field, mashallah, they possess so much of goodness. They have lots of good qualities, but subhanAllah, when it comes to delivery, a lot of them they may lack I would say the sufficient amount of kindness, or being kind when they deliver. SubhanAllah, especially, it's tough. Wallahi, it's very tough, especially when somebody in front of you start offending your own Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, or offending your own book, and says that it was written by Prophet Muhammad and it's like fake, and Prophet Muhammad wal-a'udhu billah was this or that, and they start with their accusations and allegations about his personality and all of these things. So it's very tough. This is why it needs, as we mentioned before, a great amount of endurance and patience. At the same time, it has to be delivered in a very kind way. You as a da'iyah should be very loving, as we mentioned, compassion, to have really compassion. And I mentioned that example of the Prophet ﷺ pray, just crying over the funeral of that Jewish person, and it just, kindness is everything, because the moment you get into that confrontational mode with somebody who start offending your Prophet, offending your religion, offending you personally, once you start arguing with this person, once you start being confrontational and challenging everything he says, you can do that, but then argue in the best of manners. This is why Allah told us, وَجَادِلْهُمْ بِالَّتِي أَحْسَنُ. Use the best and the nicest arguments. Do not get them into that confrontational mode, and be as kind as you can, because once the person lose his cool, as they say, and start being aggressive, he may really lose the heart of that person forever. And think about it that way. This person is, wallahi, brothers and sisters, and you'll be shocked to hear this. When I hear all these accusations to our Prophet ﷺ and to Islam, and all these like negative things on the tongues of the public, wallahi, I blame myself first. I blame us Muslims, because we refrained from da'wah. SubhanAllah, it shocks me when I come to find out, and especially after visiting Medina for the first time, years and years back, and I loved that place. So peaceful, extremely beautiful place, full of serenity and peace. And I was like wondering, who can leave such place? This place is so beautiful. Wallahi, it's like full of peace, and it's just, you feel subhanAllah, the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala coming down on this place. But then you only find 10,000 Sahaba, 10,000 companions buried in Medina, in Al-Baqiyah, right? While the rest of the Sahaba, tens of thousands of them. How many Sahabas do we know? We actually, according to the narrations, they say they were over 100,000. and they vary between 120 and 140. But anyway, the majority of the Sahaba, the vast majority, they died outside of Medina. Where? Places like Turkey, places like North Africa, places like Central Asia, and they died even in Europe. Some of them are buried in Europe. You'll find that they went all over the earth because they understood the sacrifice that they have to make in order to spread this deen. SubhanAllah, brothers and sisters, we really are taking our beautiful faith for granted. When I look around and I see the suffering of humanity, just traveling the world east to west and living with so many different nations and just dealing with them on day-to-day basis. Wallahi, brothers and sisters, we are in the greatest blessing we can ever imagine, because I find all the solutions. I mean, subhanAllah, that humanity need. All these people who are suffering from depression, suffering from crime, suffering from even poverty. Wallahi, all the solutions are in Islam. The Sahaba, after the death of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they went all over the earth. And let me tell you something. You know how it started? After the death of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the entire Arabic Peninsula, they committed apostasy. They left Islam. They committed apostasy. With the exception of Mecca, Medina, and At-Ta'if. These three cities remain upon Islam, while the rest, they left it. So, subhanAllah, we find that only those few thousand Sahaba, they took it upon themselves to spread this deen to the rest of humanity. And they did. And they sacrificed everything for the sake of this religion. While we are in the 21st century enjoying freedom of speech, freedom of religion, unlimited communication with the world through the internet and what have you, and media. So we find that, if we compare the means of da'wah that the early Muslims had and the restrictions they suffered from compared to what we have, it's unbelievable. There's no even comparison. Yet, a lot of us do not really take the time or exert any effort towards that. But as I was saying, that the Sahaba, they sacrificed everything for this deen. Brothers and sisters, again I have to remind you, if you were to be born and not ever be exposed to Islam, think about it. What would be your condition today? What would you be doing right now instead of watching me and gaining knowledge and trying to get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through gaining knowledge and learning da'wah? What would you be doing, really? Maybe you'd be at a bar. Maybe you'd be, doing something extremely different without mentioning examples. You all know what I mean. But subhanAllah, again, back to the point that I find that those people who are so-called Islamophobes, they have a free stage completely empty because nobody is competing with them on that stage. Nobody's taking the microphone from their hand. Nobody is mentioning anything about Islam. So if you, as a Muslim, do not give da'wah, so they will seek da'wah from other channels, from Islamophobes, from media outlets that have taken it upon themselves to attack Islam and destroy Islam and ruin the image of Islam and Muslims. So wallahi, as I was saying, they are the victims of our negligence, of my negligence, of your negligence. But alhamdulillah, it's not too late. Inshallah, we can change that. And this is the purpose of this program, on learning how to invite people to Islam, inshallah, in the best of way. From the time you say hi until the time they say their shahada, inshallah, we'll be going through these stages. But right now we are in the stage of foundation, basically. This is like the first step, you to be powerful to attain and obtain all these tools that you need to accomplish, inshallah, your obligation and your task. And again, Islam is not about conversion. Islam is not about forcing people to accept faith or anything like that, or as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran twice, First ayah is بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم لا إكراه في الدين, and the second one is in Surah Yunus. The first one was in Surah Al-Baqarah. Second one says أفأنت تكره الناس حتى يكونوا مؤمنين, that you do not force people to be believers. You cannot force people. And the first one says no compulsion in religion. So and again, it's not about gaining more followers. It's really about caring about humanity. It's really caring about your fellow brothers and sisters. Wallahi, brothers and sisters, I pray every single day to every living being, not just humans. I mean, subhanAllah, it's what our Prophet ﷺ had taught us. He taught us to do this, to care for the world. You know, رَبِّ اهْدِ قَوْمِي فَإِنَّهُمْ لَا يَعْلَمُونَ. SubhanAllah, we find even in the worst times when his own people and the Arabs, the polytheist Arabs, they used to torture the Prophet ﷺ, him and his companions. And he would say what in return? Oh Allah, guide my people, because surely they do not know. Meaning that if they were to know that I'm a prophet, they would believe in me. So please guide him. And you'll find, and he'll be doing this, he'll be praying these prayers at times when we find that they stoned him with stones, and they actually made him bleed, and they actually really hurt him. They killed his companions. They fought him. He would use that prayer at all times, and he never gave up on them. He never gave up on them. And so we should, you know, I mean, subhanAllah, there's no comparison between the kuffar of Quraysh, the polytheists of Quraysh, and the non-Muslims these days, because a lot of them, wallahi, if they were to know the truth, they would believe in it. And this is why we say that Islam is that religion of fitrah, of natural disposition. Once a person is exposed to it, he'll accept it, and he will find it to be something normal, something that this is the way how it should be, as we heard it a lot. Yes, it makes sense. I cannot tell you how many times I heard, yes, it makes sense. So inshallah, until next time, let's practice these characteristics, and let's inshallah start from today and approach the non-Muslims that we know and do our task and do our job. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward all of you. May Allah guide the people through you and accept your efforts. Ameen. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.